You would be missing the point entirely if you believed that these contacts with EBEs, extra biologic entities in higher dimensions, was all about receiving messages of the future or seeing in the past or the present. While their technology is advanced, and if some of it ever ends up in the hands of governments, they're only ever going to understand a very small percentage of that technology. They're not going to understand what the other capabilities of this stuff is. It would be difficult to explain to a physicist and a scientist that the vehicle that seems very much locked up underground on concrete in a vault is in fact not entirely in their possession, but it extends into a higher dimension, another realm. It is in some way there and someplace else at the same time. It's the same thing with the two-dimensional Flatlander square having a conversation with a three-dimensional cube that came down to say, "Hi there, Flatlander, I'm a 3D cube." The Flatlander cube has no idea what this 3D cube is talking about. The Flatlander would be, "I don't know what you mean." But let me tell you what I can do. I can see inside you, 2D cube. I can see outside you. I can see in the next room. To the two-dimensional Flatlander, that means seeing its future. It hasn't entered that room or even is aware the room that next to it is even there. That's the past, present, and future to a two-dimensional person. Simply being able to see out in the next space beside it and the space ahead of it. A three-dimensional cube can see this very easily. The Flatlander 2D cube makes the mistake many humans make when they have contact with these higher dimensional beings. They begin to think in terms of, why me? I've been chosen. Nothing special about the two-dimensional cube, it's just that the three-dimensional square, the three-dimensional cube can actually see everything. So it doesn't mean that the two-dimensional Flatlander is really at all very special to that cube. The 2D cube then tries to say, "You told me events of the future." The 3D cube says, "No, I simply told you what's in the next room." Well, there must be some meaning to this. Do you need me to prevent the deaths or change the future of events in the squares, the Flatlander square rooms ahead of me? You have told me of things going on there, and these things are great events. Events that involve the frailty and the fragile nature, the imperfection, the broken symmetry of my two-dimensional universe, where things happen. I'd like to control that reality. If with your help you can help me. The 3D cube says, "I'm only seeing what's already there." And so the 2D Flatlander hasn't any idea what that means. And so what happens is the 2D Flatlander misses the point. And the point being that it's about raising awareness and consciousness to the point where you can start to think without time. And then you can have a proper conversation and dialogue with the 3D cube and his third dimension, even while you are still a 2D Flatlander. When the UFO community as a whole, researchers, experiencers, and all the like, can begin to comprehend and think in those terms without time, that it's not that you see a UFO in the sky, or you know that this is probably alien to you and it's an intelligence not human. When you can look at that and know that's not the point, that's really not the point at all. They've demonstrated to you for decades and longer than that what the point is. They've given predictions of the future to people like me that have come true. They've made their ships appear and disappear in the skies overhead, triangular craft, many of you have tried to say are all government made. Many have seen these craft, the three lights at the center converge in one center. The craft seems to disappear into one point of light and vanish without a trace in the sky, and only reappear 100 miles somewhere else. Reports of these things go on all the time. It seems that this mathematical tutorial and consciousness tutorial seems to be missing the point with the human race and researchers and experiencers the world over. And in my former video, that is never more true, where it is suspected, although I can't say I never said they're secret agents or CIA. I have no proof of that. But I have proof of an intelligent body of human beings, an organized attempt, not just against me, but many people like me, is ongoing to subvert us somehow. This organized attempt is again missing the point. And they're saying, if we can somehow subvert the mind of these people so they don't feel the connection, we can stop it. But you see, you've missed the point, because in that higher reality, there is no need of connection. It doesn't exist. It doesn't have to. No more than the 3D cube has to concern itself with two-dimensional existence matters. The 3D cube looks down at the two-dimensional flatlander and says, what do you mean? A connection between yourself and the squares and the opposite to your left and right of you. I don't understand. What do you mean by connection? For me as a 3D cube, I am already encompassing of those elements that you are you're looking at as perceiving as components of something else, makes up who and what I am. And so therefore, there is no connection. So there's nothing to break. There's nothing to subvert. So when anyone, no matter who you are, whether you're intelligence operatives or Christian fanatics or whatever group, chasing after true experiencers, genuine people like myself, you run against a bit of an enigma, a conundrum, a very strange psychological puzzle seems to emerge, something you can't quite put a finger on, and with all your PhD and your background and your history of it, you just don't know what it is. We've got that one right there. We've got him. We have him mapped out. We've got a dossier. We've got this man's mind mapped out. We know his history, his past, his habits, good, bad, whatever this guy's issues. He likes to scratch his butt in the shower. He wanks off to nudie girls. I mean, just giving an example how they have these dossiers on experiencers. The guy smokes. I'm not talking about myself, but they've got dossier files on experiencers who've seen and experienced these higher dimensional beings, and he smokes, he drinks, or he's got traffic tickets, or he's got these habits, or he does this, or he has little idiosyncrasies, or he has a lot of self-promotional, delusions of grandeur, whatever. It's like, well, there, we've got it. Yeah, wait a minute, we don't seem to get it because it's still going on around him. No matter what we do, what we put him through. We could drug this guy, we could beat this guy, we could waterboard him somewhere in Guantanamo Bay in a cage. It wouldn't make any difference. If he lives to tell the story, and he goes on after all the punishment and abuse, and walks down the street, he's still going to have them show up to him. For them, like the three-dimensional cube and the two-dimensional flatlander, the 3D cube looks upon the two-dimensional flatlander and says, but you're a part of the surface of my three-dimensional cube. I don't know what connection means, what you're talking about, two-dimensional flatlander, but you're already a part of my three-dimensional cube. There is no need of connection. When it'd be like saying, do you need to feel a connection from your left hemisphere to your right hemisphere of your brain? Or do you need to think about, I've got to keep that connection between the fact that here's the right-hand side of me and the left-hand side of me. It's just natural. There's a front and a back in the three-dimensional world. The two-dimensional flatlander would be baffled by such ideas. What are you talking about? I don't understand this. So when you talk about fourth-dimensional beings and fifth-dimensional beings, it's a bit of a mind-blower when you consider that even though three-dimensional that you are, you're only ever perceiving your reality from a two-dimensional sense. You can only see the front of the stop sign as you approach it on the road. You don't see the back of it. But in the fourth-dimensional reality, you can see the front and back of that stop sign at the same time, in that same moment. You'd be seeing the front and back, the beginning and the end, the past and the future, the present, all at once. Prepare yourself. Come with me in this journey. This is the voyage. This is what this is about. This is a lifelong, longitudinal diary, is what this is. Going on YouTube here with this experiencer, J.P. Moss. This is going to be invaluable research for researchers in the future. Truly understanding higher dimensional intelligence is not going to be confined to one-off little books and anecdotal experiences to put into a conference. This isn't something that can be, you take this, wrap it in a box, you put it in a film or a movie, and there it is. The only way to truly understand and truly learn about the contact with a higher dimensional being, you watch someone like myself with contact with a being who's identified herself as Beniko. And it's not going to be the one video that, oh, there it is. It's not the one picture. I've got hundreds of recordings and pictures. I've uploaded them here, I've uploaded them there. It doesn't matter. That's only a small breadth of this surface of this higher dimensional contact. And so it is a longitudinal. The only way to see and perceive and appreciate the higher dimensional entities is to go on with this research, this work, this talking about it and sharing of this evidence over many, many years. If I live as long, 75 years old, so here I'll be sharing. Hopefully by then, as I've been told, in the 21st century, this is going to be something that everybody is going to be on board with and aware of and in contact with them. It's not about the human race isn't ready, so hey, that's why we don't make contact yet. No, it's not so much about being ready. That's, again, a very two-dimensional flatlander thinking. It's about simply raising the awareness and becoming and thinking without time, thinking in a higher dimensional sense. You can do this. Everyone can. I don't subscribe to this idea you have to be a special Reiki crystal DNA healer person to do this. I very much am against the gurus online who say, I'm the only one you can talk to about this. I have always said, all of you, the whole point of this, I have said for almost 9 years now, on Facebook, and if you haven't seen my videos, I've got lots of videos, very disorganized, kind of glumped into one mass. I'm going to sit down one day and put them in categorical areas so you can watch them better. It's all about all of you, helping to, I help, no. You observe, and it helps you. The only way to raise the awareness and the consciousness is to observe one of your own walking down the street. Here I am, hi. This 2D flatlander, J.P. Moss, having contact with Beniko, this 3D cube. Well, I can talk about it in a lot of videos. I can share some evidence. And it's only through a long breadth of the fourth dimension, of this thing called duration of time, that you will begin to see and feel and sense that higher dimensional presence. Not because I showed you. No, I'm just like one of you. Because you began to sense that within yourself. You began your own awareness began to rise. Now, a lot of my videos are going to be off topic and here, there, and everywhere. I never said I'm perfect or divine or have anything special about me. Because that would miss the point too. then what's the point in having a three-dimensional cube having a conversation with a three-dimensional cube? Two-dimensional beings wouldn't even begin to see that or understand it. The best thing to do is to be that two-dimensional flatlander completely in front of you, just like you, sitting in that 2D world, unable to see up or even down, or what's beyond that infinitely fine line into the next square, or the next, what we would think is a flatlander room. But when you see the contact, in some sense, slicing through this intersection of reality from the higher dimension, you will get these one-off moments about, like I'm talking about, UFO sighting in the sky, being photos, recordings, predictions of the future that come true. That's amazing, Jason. No, it's not me. I am not amazing. And I will even go as far as to say it's not about being psychic. I'm not even going to say I'm psychic. Within me, she's given me predictions. Within recordings, she's given me predictions. Does that mean I'm psychic? No, it doesn't have to mean that. No more than the 2D square is psychic when it can hear the three-dimensional cube speak into it. Because when it speaks to that two-dimensional cube, the cube will, this two-dimensional flatlander square, will hear that voice inside itself and in the room around it at the same instant. And it may also have a strange memory of having already experienced the 3D cube in its past. It doesn't understand that. Well, the reason is because as the 3D higher dimensional cube speaks to the 2D square, it's echoing, it's resonating, its voice is now also, being heard. It's going into the page, the flatlander page this direction, and the flatlander page that direction. Physics would call that the Doppler effect. So in that sense, the higher dimensional beings, when they communicate with us, there's a interdimensional Doppler effect. I remember Beniko in my past. Well, she was in that past. I am of a Mandela effect. I'm from another parallel Earth dimension. Well, why? What makes you special you can do that? Well, it's simple. As the 2D square is hearing the 3D cube speak to it in the present, it's also thinking, wait a second, I inhabited the flatlander page this direction, what I call my past. But I can hear that 3D cube in my memory talking to me as it's speaking to me now, long ago when I was a small square and young. Now for that reason, it's already altered the space timeline for that 2D dimensional square in such that it's removed it from its normal space timeline. And perhaps every time the 3D cube communicates with the 2D flatlander, it's altering and moving it from its timeline into a parallel flatlander timeline that's identical to the one it just left. It's an infinite number of flatlander pages, but they can't see those other pages because that would be looking up or down. That would be third dimensional. So the 2D flatlander then starts to call it Mandela Effect, when in fact it's just a consequence of contact with a higher dimensional being. And yes, intelligent beings have feelings as we have feelings, and yes, you can have a relationship with them. So I become an example, a template of what happens when a seemingly ordinary guy has a relationship with a higher dimensional female EBE, extra biologic entity. This is the ramification, this is the consequence of this, of a consciousness, a higher dimensional consciousness set against the life, placed over like an overlay of the life of a three-dimensional guy. This is the consequence of this. Welcome, all of you, please welcome. I welcome you to the higher dimensions. Come with me as we take a voyage, continued in that voyage into those other realms.